Hi everybody, this is Angel Arts. Welcome back once again to Let's Play the Dragon Age Season 3 or Dragon Age Ascension tabletop campaign. The Laurier is back, Tommy.
Huzzah, I have returned.
He has returned. So it's great to have him back, in addition to the other four. And we're going to get right into the warm-up question. It is a repeat, but I thought that it would be cool to extend it a little bit further from the last time I asked this question. So now that we are 8 sessions in, you guys have gotten to know each other and have learned a lot from each other since you first met. So I wanted to do another pulse check and find out, at this point in the story, who do you trust the most now? Who do you trust the least now from the PCs? I also, in addition to that, want to know from you, of all of the party member NPCs, and I'm including Pyrus in this as well, which of the party member NPCs do you trust the most now, and which of the party NPCs do you trust the least now? I saw Dominic's hand rise up right away. And after this, if you want, you can ask me to answer this question from any of the other NPCs as well, if you want me to ask that. So I can...
Valor. No. Because this is, I think, a very obvious and easy question for me to answer.
Yeah.
Who does Dartham trust the most? It's honestly a tie between Leon and Tyrion. Like, legitimately, both of them are equally trustworthy towards to Dartham for different reasons. Dartham has helped him a lot, and Dartham sees how much of a good person Leon is and how much doubt he has, but also how much good he's trying to do, much like Tyrion. But also there's that sense of familiarity with the magic and the mage aspect of it. And he feels a connection there. Whereas with Tyrion, it's a sense of familiarity because of their shared experience of being a slave. As well as between the two, he has willingly shown part of his hidden features to Tyrion. So between the two of them, he trusts Leon to keep his secrets and stuff like that, and trust him as a friend. But he trusts Tyrion more as more like a brother, almost, maybe, if that makes sense. It's more of like
That cousin
with
almost, we can say.
Yeah, like with Leon, it's more of a very close friend, but who you still kind of keep a few things that you're not sure from. But from Tyrion, it's more like for you, I think you more deserve to know. If that makes it all sense. Which probably doesn't, because emotions are weird. And then as for who do I trust the least, I think it's Rousseau now. I think it actually is Rousseau now, because
Okay.
I think he spent enough time around Pasha to understand her. So he's not quite as like he knows how she'll react. So he's like, I know how I can trust her. With Rousseau, he knows about him fully, and he still doesn't know what Rousseau's going to do. So that sense of unease, I think, is what is most untrusting about him. I think he trusts the same character, both the most and the least, which is Darren, because it's kind of the same thing with Pasha, where he knows where she's coming from, because in many ways he was a Darren. Like if you look at between Tyrion and Darren's outlooks,
True.
he was very much on Darren's side of the board. He was like, I need to do this so he entirely is on her side. He, like, if he had to choose between running away or this, he probably would choose Darren's option.
Yeah.
Because he sees that as the safer bet. He was never able to do that. He was also never able to run away, so he kind of was stuck in the pit of bad. But because he knows Darren that well, he trusts her the most because he knows how she thinks. But because he knows Darren that well, he trusts her the least because exactly why he knows how she thinks.
Thanks. Yep, that
So
makes sense.
so because of that, like I can't think of any other character that he would trust more or less because he just hasn't interacted with that many others other than Pyrus, and nobody fucking trusts Pyrus. He's a maniacal serial killer book. Nobody Pyrus. So
All right.
except for Mr. Bunn. Mr. Bunn trusts him because he knows how he thinks.
Isaiah's turn, I think I trust the most. I think this is also going to be unfortunately a close tie between Deritum and Russo, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Deritum, because, well, Deritum helped Tyrion out in terms of understanding more. Deritum now kind of confessed that he is also a slave to him when he was in that moment of self-crisis back at the tavern. And he now kind of sees Deritum as, even though Deriton kinda lied to him in that moment back, like with the whole blood magic and all that, he wasn't the catalyst for it, so to speak. That was more Leon. If in
It's like
Tyrion's
wasn't my
opinion,
secret to tell. Wasn't my secret to
yeah,
tell kind of thing.
yeah. So Deriton like literally showed his eyes, and he kind of was like, okay, he has something to keep also. So I think he trusts Deriton the most, just as a person you can at least be with and he can understand quite well, even though he's got more secrets than his whole cloak could probably keep. And the reason it's also Russo he trusts the most because he sees Russo's like family, like parental history is similar to what Tyrion has. It's the same kind of story, and after that whole scene that happened there, he wants to kind of be on Russo's side more than what happened with the whole Balin thing. So he trusts Russo enough. He's a good lawyer. He's a man who cares for his child, which he honestly believes in the most. So now the person he trusts the least as a PC, unfortunately, has to be Leon. Leon, even though they're still good buddies, sort of, he lied to him. He literally lied to him that he was using good magic, and he saw it right through it, and he just saw him use Pyrus as a way to understand blood magic. Now, even if he's learning for his parents, it's a dangerous thing. He still finds it dangerous, but for now, he's not gonna trust him for now until something happens probably. So yeah, those are the PCs. As for NPCs,
Unless Tion
um,
has died in the
it's not
waves.
dead yet. It's not sailed. It's not sailed out yet. Maybe, who knows? That could change.
Still in the harbor. Still in the harbor. Just repairs have been put on a few
It,
months leave.
it was like the Titanic. It just hit the ice. It just surviving.
See, when they tried to put the champagne on it, it just broke the hull, so they're just trying to repair it a little bit.
Yep. As for NPCs, he trusts the most. Ooh, I think the most he would go for Nathan because it seems Nathan really does care for Tyrion, and I mean, and that he did tell him that he will watch over him and he's looking out for him after the whole Darren fiasco that happened. So Tyrion trusts Nathan as someone he can at least watch his back, and you know,
Would that be Tathan? Hashtag Tathan?
Yeah.
maybe.
Mirren? Mirren? Maybe.
Terraton, I don't know. What else the other one? For personally he trusts the least, still has to be Darren. And similar thing to Leon, she lied to him, and she was trying to capture him, even though he's trying to at least give her, like, trying to change her. He still is watching out for her just in case she has second thoughts.
Just based off of what's been going on, Leon trusts Darathon the most, because Darathon's kept his secrets. He has, led the others say, "Hey, let's go check out this thing." As Leon sort of self immolates himself to do some blood magic. So Darathon has been proven to be very trustworthy, and Leon has been able to rely on him in multiple circumstances. But he knows that Darathon has some things that he's not telling him, and Leon's not going to pry because, this is it's a relationship that he wants to keep, and he's worried that if he pries too much, if he tries to get too much information about Daretham, that this very tenuous relationship may just break and he won't have this stable trust anymore. And then the person he trusts the least is sort of a toss-up between Pasha and Tyrion, because now, Tyrion and him were very good friends. There wasn't really much going on, and I think last time you asked this question, Tyrion was the one he trusted the most. And then now with, this last blood magic, you lied to me. How could you do this? He's like, oh, whoa. This relationship is very broken. It's a very, very tense time. And if something were to go wrong, or if, trust is to be lost even more, it could be very, very, very dangerous for Leon, in the sense of Templars could come knocking at his door, and, this could be life-ending for Leon. Pasha, he's sort of gotten a read on her, but, she's also very, very, very lawful. So if any, it won't be as easy to be like, hey, I'm not trying to kill anyone. Like Tyrion was very nice. It was easy to sort of smooth things over. But if Pasha were to find out, there'd be little to no recompense. It would be like, this is evil. I can't deal with this anymore. Goodbye, sort of thing. So, I mean, maybe if, more trust is built between Pasha and Leon, thing could work out. But, at this current juncture, I think that if things were to be revealed in the same way that Tyrion sort of barged in on the blood magic, I think Pasha would be like, I'm out. Yeah. But the NPC that Leon trusts the most probably be Pyrrhus, because Pyrrhus has been very honest with his intentions. Pyrrhus is a very by the book sort of character. In the circumstance that he's never told Leon anything incorrect. He's been very straightforward with blood magic, very knowledgeable. Any questions he has, been very honest, which has been real helpful for Leon, especially when dipping his toes into blood magic. Now going headfirst into blood magic. And then the NPC that he trusts the least is probably Darren the Wrathful. For similar reasons of, Darren just sort of tried to kidnap Tyrion. That's not okay. He's still a little leery. He's trying to gain her trust through, kindness with, the breakfast, and then everything else. Be like, hey, I'm your friend. And then, the adage, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So, it's safer to know where she is than when she's gone. So,
not to mention, she also took a shot at you with the whole virgin thing.
Yeah,
Tommy missed that, I think.
So, as far as trust the most, I think this is going to be a bit of a surprise, but Russo trusts Daretham more than anyone else in the group right now, simply because he knows what he gets with Daretham. Like, he knows what he is. He knows Daretham can't cross him, and he's not really trying to hide or take anything away from Daretham. He's just observing him. So that's why I see Russo trusts him more. It's like, I have X criteria that I know for sure. And where I thought it would have been Pasha, Russo's basically purposefully been distancing himself because he doesn't want to come clean about a lot of things. So I feel like I have everyone right now because he knows where the relationship's going to go with Daretham. He trusts him the most. In terms of who he trusts the least, simply because the two have interacted the least out of the group, Russo trusts Leon the least, simply because Leon hasn't been around or Russo hasn't made the effort. So there's just more unknowns. So it makes any conversation more untrustworthy naturally. Then in terms of NPCs, he trusts Nathan the most because he's been watching after Balin and he's Maximilian's son, and Russo was there when they liberated Kirkwall and everything. So he he has plenty of reason to believe that Nathan's a good, upstanding person. Who he trusts the least out of the NPCs is Rosie, simply because she knows about the Guardians. She could pretty much throw the lid off on Balin and make things way more complicated for him.
Yep.
Kind of similar to Tommy, that you'd think it would be Russo, but she hasn't spent a lot of time with Russo. However, she has spent a lot of time with Leon. And I think, like, as far as she's aware, aside from that one time where he was like, maybe we should use blood magic to free the Griffin, aside from that, he hasn't done any blood magic, and he's not done anything slightly dodgy. And I think also because he told her about when he was young and his parents died, I think she sees like a lot of dandelion in him, you know, like being taken from your home. And I think she's kind of attaching to him in that kind of like replacement son.
Okay.
And I think that's why she kind of trusts him in that way. For least trust Dirtham, just for the simple fact that they haven't really spoken much. For NPCs, I think it's a toss-up between Nathan and Vala, because on one hand, she's got this bond with Vala, and, you know, she likes flying and things like that, but Nathan has shown an interest in the Qun, and he hasn't judged her for that. He's just been very like, oh, that's how it is then. And I think she appreciates that on a kind of like, I told you about the Vidath Bas, which I know that the vast majority of people would find disgusting, but you weren't, like, you were horrified, but you weren't, oh, that's horrific. Your people are horrific and you're savages and blah, blah, blah. And so she was kind of like, I appreciate that. For least trust, I think she'd probably have to go with Master Ignaldo. Just because, again, she hasn't really interacted with him, and he wants to monetize Vala, which she's kind of like, no.
Yes.
This is a noble beast. No monetization.
Yeah. I think in response to what you said about Nathan seeming to be pretty like chill about most everything, including the
Vidath Bas.
The Vidath Bas. A lot of that, I think, is because of his dad, who I already talked about how his dad is a very lawful person. But besides that, Maximilian is very like, judge this, judge that, judgment, judgment, judgment. And because of that, Maximilian is not shy about punishing evildoers, wrongdoers, you know, as not like within reason, I think. Like he does things where, at least in Maximilian's mind, the punishment matches the crime. And he's since Maximilian is not swayed by emotion, some people could think of him as ruthless, but he in his mind, at least, he's not being ruthless. He's just being fair, I guess. So I think that when you're talking to Nathan about these things, I think Nathan is a little bit more open-minded because of his father about those kind of things. What other people might see as like an extreme. Okay. Now would the group like to pick an NPC?
So the thing is, I feel like we can guess pretty accurately most of who the NPCs trust and distrust. Am I wrong in that? Like, I feel like Valor, it's Pasha, and then I don't know who. Pyrrhus, I don't know about Pyrrhus, but I'm not really caring about his answer. Darren, I feel like she would just say, I don't trust anyone, and I'd be like, yeah, that's legit.
Yeah.
And as for, like, I feel like the ones we don't know about are Nathan, Rosie, and the circus members.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And between the two, it's probably just because I'm part of her story, but I'm curious to see who Rosie trusts and distrusts the most, considering we've had the Balin reveal and she knows about me. And as for Nathan, I just don't know if like I'm probably biased towards Rosie. So, but my vote would be Rosie.
I vote Nathan.
I personally like Rosie as well, because, well, Rosie, there's, I guess, a lot more like dun 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 reveals about Rosie, you know, because the Balin and the Daretham watch. And I do like Prince Nathan, but I'm guessing he's pretty straightforward. Like it would be Pasha, and then probably someone he's not interacted with as
Like
much.
me, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see the reasons behind Nathan, because he's
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good point because we don't know if Nathan. Oh, now I want to know if Nathan was part of the Q or not, or
I'm
wants
going
to
to
be.
vote. I, as a player, I'm going to vote for Nathan because we haven't. I mean, we know a little bit about Rosie. At least Nathan. I don't. I mean, I might have an idea, but I actually like to know his reasons, like why he chooses X people.
It sounds like we have a tie, and somebody has to break the tie.
Callista actually hasn't chosen yet.
Callista hasn't chosen yet.
I'm going to say Nathan because we've already heard from Rosie
Yeah.
with her diary entry.
True.
All right. Okay. So I do have to think about this. So I'm gonna give you a little bit more bang for your buck and try to go to each person, each of the 5 PCs. So give you a little more bang for the buck. So right off the top of my head, I think that Pasha obviously is up on Nathan's list in terms of trust because he's interacted with Pasha the most. She's always been straightforward with him. Pasha has always struck Nathan as what you see is what you get, what she says is what's on her mind. She doesn't BS around things. So obviously he's going to trust her probably the most at the very top. I'm going to say that Tyrion, he respects as a doctor, and he trusts Tyrion's heart. He just isn't really 100% keen on like the breaking and entering aspects of Tyrion because that's a very unlawful thing. And like, I think that the thing is the thing you have to understand about Nathan is he has a lot of love and respect for his father. And although he doesn't verbalize it very often, it's very internal. He puts himself in a position of, if my dad was here, or if I was my dad, what would he think? How would he react? What would he do? And so when he finds out that Tyrion like broke into this duke's mansion, yes, for a very good reason, and yes, it ultimately did help with the trial, you know, he would have thought, if my dad was here, if I was my dad, I probably would have like said something disapprovingly. So with Tyrion, he's torn. But I think ultimately he knows that Tyrion's a good person, so he's leaning more towards trust. With Leon, it's interesting because I think growing up as a child, and I think I alluded to this a little bit subtly in the reunion session, Nathan has this fear of one day waking up and realizing he's a mage. And it's not because he doesn't like his mother. He loves his mother dearly. But because he loves his mother dearly, he knows, you know, what his mother's life was like. And I don't think his mother said that she had a terrible life or taught him that she had a terrible life, but it just didn't seem like a life that Nathan would want. And so I think he has a very interesting, like, view of mages in that he has some... pity's not the right word. I don't think he pities Leon because his mom was a circle mage. So it's more of I think that with Leon, because he doesn't know about Leon's like blood magey things, and because Leon to him seems like a straightforward Boy Scout, which I think is what Nathan is trying to become, is a straightforward Boy Scout. He sees a lot of Leon in him, and he can see that he easily could have been Leon as well. Like, he could have easily been taken away from his parents, away from the castle, and then had Leon's life and been, you know, very sheltered and virgin-like So I think he has right now he has a lot of trust in Leon because he sees Leon as himself in many ways.
It's like looking in a mirror, but an ultimate version.
In an ultimate version of himself. And I think that he would like to have more interactions with Leon. He'd like to talk to Leon more because they're roughly the same age as well. But the opportunity has never gone around. And B, I think I think the opportunity was never there. So maybe there'll be an opportunity today. I don't know. Rousseau, definitely a lot on the trust end for Rousseau because Rousseau is a lawyer. That is his job, is he enforces the law, you know. And a lawyer is like one step to a judge, which is essentially how he sees his dad in many ways. Because
Rousseau
of how
is
his dad was.
Warrior and law. That's just exactly
Right. That's his dad.
Maximilian.
Right. So yeah, he sees a lot of Maximilian in him, especially because he knows how Maximilian was specifically David designed Maximilian to not be a particularly like good-looking man, and so. Not that Rousseau isn't good looking, but he's got like the horns, he's got the knife ears. So there's a lot about his physical appearance that has been a challenge, I guess, for him growing up. And I think Nathan recognizes that. And so he kind of sympathizes and almost sees Rousseau as a like temporary uncle in that way, I guess. And Nathan really has grown very close to Balin, so it's almost like Balin is like his temporary cousin in that way. And then Darethim, I would put Darethim on the least trust list, because he doesn't know much about him. He's very mysterious. I think one of the things that his dad taught Nathan growing up is when you have somebody who's like cloaked and secluded and soft-spoken and doesn't really say much, like they've got something to hide. Like there's something about them. Why aren't they out in the open? Why are they not like Pasha, who's, you know, always says what she means and all that good stuff? And so definitely Darethim is down there. Cool. I think that was a very valuable exercise because several people, including myself, mentioned that there were characters that they haven't interacted with much. Today is a role-playing heavy session, so maybe you might find opportunities to interact with some characters you haven't interacted much with. Just a suggestion, just a thought.
It's not me because I'm my emo loner self.
So, and if that's the case, maybe you might have to initiate something instead of Darethim. Okay, so Rousseau and Balin are coming, and Balin's got some sort of like 6-year-old backpack, I guess, and he's carrying his personal Balin hammer.
I imagine there's Tyrion, Leon, and Dareth just arriving from the forest. They see them, I imagine.
Balin, Nathan says as he approaches the two Alrens, and Balin, his eyes light up a little bit, and he says, Nathan! And he says, hey, little man. Nathan says, I see you got your hammer with you. Uh-huh. He says, we're going on a trip again, and I wanted to make sure that I can protect my daddy from the dragons.
And I'm sure he's gonna hack everything down in our way.
Yes, they're quite the dangerous threat. Need much protection for your father, little one.
Thank you, Mr. Darethim, Balin says. Do you want to see? And he's gonna hand over his hammer if you want it.
Yeah, he'll like he won't take it because Darkspawn, but he will like kneel down and interact with Balin a little bit, just making sure the kid is having fun. Yeah.
Balin seems to have taken a liking to Darethim, so they're gonna do some small talk, and he's gonna talk. I think Nathan's gonna show Balin's going to start pulling some of his toys out of his pack, and he's like, maybe he has like whatever the medieval version of toy soldiers are. He might have like a set of toy knights and toy whatever.
And this is Sir Garriston, and he was the one who fought the great dragon Balthanarax. Yes.
Yes, he says. Do you want to play sometime?
Perhaps if we have time to do it, though. Unfortunately, life is very busy, and it's very sad too that it's so busy.
He frowns a little bit. You sound like my daddy.
I imagine all adults will sound like that at some point.
I'm just gonna turn to Nathan. You would not believe how bad it was to get him to only take one backpack of toys.
He only let you take one? What a crime!
I was gonna say I can go back and carry more into
I
the
believe you must take your
cart.
entire house, Rousseau. It's the requirement.
Yes, if you want to help me pick up the foundation, be my guest.
Yeah, you'd have to get your very own wagon at this point.
Well, it won't be
Something
hard.
tells me we don't have the time to build one.
I was gonna say we could just strap on some wheels or something to the sides of your house, get a few more Bronto, and just drag that.
Probably wouldn't be too expensive with your earnings. Fortunes.
I don't get paid that much of an allowance from my dad. You get an allowance? Balin says.
Rousseau, but
Daddy, can I have an allowance?
This first time.
Jackson chuckles and
we'll
like
talk
goes a
about it.
little-
Spoken like a true business person, says Rosie, as she also emerges out. She says, you just keep working on your dad. I had to negotiate quite a bit with mine on my allowance, too, when I was your age. Okay, we'll talk, Balin says, turning to Rosie.
I'm just gonna have a bit of a smirk. Anyway, I think it'd be best if we travel a little light, given how far we're gonna have to go.
Well, now we have a lost.
yes, that's fair enough.
Where are we going? Rosie asks.
Still to be decided.
I think we had talked about all
Though
day.
today we do have one last appointment in Nevarra.
Oh?
Another
Oh,
appointment.
you're going
Yes.
back to Nevarra, Rosie says. I think I'll stay here.
Only for a short bit.
Did one of the
No.
lords of the case start some trouble?
No, we've been summoned by Queen Antona herself.
Oh no. That means that
Queen.
there's something about this case the queen is apprehensive about.
Manfred.
Oh dear.
It could be Manfred, but that's
Or it could be just. Could be just maybe she wants to meet with us, but I know if it's case based, who knows, asking questions or just to congratulate us on sort of succeeding.
And Darathan's gonna look over to Tyrion and he gives a knowing look to Tyrion and just says to Tyrion,
Tyrion, especially for people in power, they usually always have some ulterior motive.
Don't know.
Pasha's gonna stick her head out of the what is it? What are they called? The caravan that she's that she's with the Athon and Val with, and she's just what was this about the queen?
We have an
Queen
appointment with her.
Antona has summoned us.
Nathan says, I hope this has nothing to do with the random paper airships that were flying around in the courtroom.
Yes, I hope not. And just kind of turn slowly.
No one saw me and no one can prove anything.
I sure hope so.
In fact, I can't even see any paper. What time's the appointment so I can, get my clothes straightened out?
4 o'clock sharp.
What time is it
And
by
that's in
chance?
like an hour.
About 2-3 hours.
Oh boy. I gotta go wash up in the stream down there. Ugh.
Yeah, well, time to wear on the fine clothes again, it seems.
Anyway, Balin, let's go unpacking Athon's wagon.
Oh boy, I want to go say hi to Valor. Are you taking any NPCs with you to meet the queen, just out of curiosity?
Maybe we should take Nathan.
Yeah,
and
the only
ask
person I can
group,
think of is Nathan.
for A, the social protocol, and then B, the
Yeah.
haha, do anything bad to us, because we have a royal with us.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right. So you guys will make your way to Castle Nevarra. It's a very grand structure. Again, more and more statues of various Nevarran historical figures and heroes are strewn about. A lot of tapestries and paintings and murals. What you can probably imagine from a castle of a kingdom such as this. And you enter into the throne room, and standing right next to the throne is, of course, Manfred. And the queen herself, she sort of is lounging back a little bit as you're entering, and when you have gathered before her, she'll lean over and, take her hand up to her chin.
Darthan will also, as they're going up, give a full formal bow, as would be appropriate for one of her stature.
Very good call. Good call. Nathan, out of habit, will also give a formal bow as well.
I'd like to think I'm in front and do the kneel I was specifically summoned.
Sure, yes. The queen will smile and nod and say, "You may rise, Mr. Alran."
Thank you, Your Grace. And I'll slowly skulk back up.
You'll get back up, and as per usual, the room here feels like it's freezing. I wouldn't say to the point that you're like this, but noticeably like you stepped into a refrigerated room, I guess, a meat locker kind of place. And it almost feels like, although you can't see it, but it almost feels like if you were to speak, there would be puffs of, cloudy, breathy things coming out of your mouth. But it doesn't. And she says, "I would like to thank all of you for meeting me at such short notice. I understand that your time is valuable, especially you, Mr. Alran, as a man of your capability, and I would imagine that with the case, you have gotten quite a name for yourself as of late."
Haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure my name will be on the upswing soon.
Her eyes then will move towards Nathan, and she says, "Well, so the rumors are true. Your Highness is Prince Nathan. Good to see you." And Prince Nathan will bow, and he says, "I thank you, Your Majesty. But you must forgive me. I don't think we've ever officially met." "No, we've never formally met. But I have met and spoken to your father a number of times." He says, he has mentioned you a number of times." "Oh? What has he said? What has he said about me?" She asks. And He says, well, only that you seem to be doing a pretty good job of ruling your people, and that you had quite a what was the word that he put it? Enigmatic personality? Which, for him, I'm sure was a compliment. Oh, well, I'll take it as such, she says. Please, do give your father my high regards. I would love to see him again when the time arises. Of course, Your Highness, the prince says. Mr. Russo, I wanted to first of all congratulate you on your win the other day at the trial. I heard that you had to muster up a lot of work within 36 hours or so to make your case, and I have to say that I was rather impressed by how well you were able to perform in there.
Thank you, my queen. I take much pride in my work, and I'd like to think I made my tutor very proud in that moment.
My spy masters over the last several days have heard rumors about a magister lurking around my kingdom. At the time, I had no clue it was an Archon, X or no, until your case started to fall under my radar. I had sent Manfred to be my eyes and ears, and he seemed to identify a suspicious individual who, as I said, once we started putting pieces together, thanks to your investigation, has led us to believe that this Magister and the ex-Archon are one of the same. So I wanted to thank you for bringing that to my attention and fitting in the final pieces to that puzzle.
You're welcome, and anything I can do to help our great nation of Nevarra is enough for me.
Well, I'd like to offer you a gift. She snaps her fingers. And in walks a gentleman who looks like he's a blacksmith of some sort. And he enters with this really cool looking steel or metal version of your gavel hammer. And the queen says, I believe the forge master refers to this hammer the Objection, she says. The hammer is called the Objection.
Okay.
Couldn't have thought of a better name, Harg.
Yes.
Take about 3,000 bonus XP.
Okay, thank you. So the Objection, I'm going to say, matches the same stats as your old hammer, except it does an additional +1 extra damage, and you may use 2 stun points. Normally you can spend 2 stun points to knock an enemy prone, but with this hammer, if you spend the exact same 2 stun points, it actually knocks everyone adjacent to you prone. If you spend 4 stun points, it knocks every enemy within 2 squares of you prone. And then if you spend 6 stun points, it knocks every enemy within 3 squares away from you prone. So that is the Objection.
That's dope.
Yeah, pretty dope.
I'm just gonna slowly grip it from the smith. And what an all-righteous objection it is.
Good, she says. I hope then that gift is satisfactory.
More than you could ever imagine, my grace.
I'm sure your son will probably appreciate if you pass down your old hammer to him then.
When he's old enough to carry it.
As for the rest of your group, she says, looking at the 4, the throne would also like to gift each of you 3 sovereign pieces apiece for your assistance in this matter.
You are too generous, Your Highness.
Quite.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are most welcome. I assure you, by the way, that if you haven't noticed, we have placed a notification to everyone across the kingdom to keep an eye out for the ex-Archon, and if he is found, to be taken to the authorities immediately. I trust, Rousseau, that you will also be keeping your eyes peeled as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure Your Majesty is already aware of the Archon's supposed lair, but that magic circle was originally a soul transference magical circle. So we have reason to believe the Archon is trying to find a new body.
That is a good point, which means it might make finding him a lot more complicated if he succeeds.
May I give a recommendation?
Of course.
He was very tight with the Markhams, and I think keeping an eye on them would give you your best bets.
I appreciate the recommendation, she says. That is all that I wanted to speak to you all about. I don't know if there is anything else before I dismiss you.
I think you've been very lovely as usual, my grace, and we're happy to have helped as much as we could.
Well, I appreciate you doing your part and contributing positively to our land, Mr. Alren. Keep up the good work. I'm sure that we can continue seeing great things from you.
And I plan to give.
And with that, she'll turn and says, Manfred, if you could please see them out. And Manfred will bow. And he will, if no one else has anything to say, he will escort you out of the palace. And everyone roll a spot check, or a perception seeing. I'm gonna say that everybody who got a 15 or higher will notice that as you guys are leaving, the queen, she's just kind of watching the group in general, and she's got this really peculiar grin on her face while she's rubbing her chin. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh no.
Yeah, getting real Palpatine vibes from this girl.
Right.
Real
Sure,
Palpatine
you can
vibes.
call it, if you want to call it Palpatine vibes, that can be accurate
Say
if you want
Miss
it to be.
Palpatine.
I also like how she's like, hey, I expect good things from you, Mr. Alren. And then Alren's like, see ya. He's skipping town.
I'm reminded
Okay.
of Palpatine looking at Anne going, we'll watch your career with great interest.
I whispered to everyone, did you see that the queen did, or sort of?
It was a very sickening grin.
Yeah.
Is she looking at anyone in particular?
I
No,
wasn't able to notice the hood.
no, she was just grinning, just,
At us.
yeah.
Oh dear.
As I said, Tyrion, ulterior motives, always.
Yeah, feels like deja vu again.
That is something that my father mentioned to me about her. I just didn't feel the need to add that detail, Nathan says.
Could I try a magic check on Rousseau's hammer? I'll first say, hey, Rousseau,
Sure.
do you mind if I take a peek at your hammer just to make sure everything's kosher?
I'm gonna slowly just take it off my back and then hand it over. Don't scratch it.
I mean, I'm gonna try to pick it up. It's like super heavy, and I'm
Yeah,
not
I go over
really
the
really
top,
heavy.
like the two mages is going.
You're not worthy.
Together we are 1/10 worthy.
Objection is objecting them.
The
Oh.
objection, yes.
Oh no.
Yes. You've been Objective. What are you trying to determine or look for, just out of curiosity?
So when we first saw her, we could easily sense the spirit magic on her. So we know she's a magic user. I'm just slightly worried now that they've said she was grinning at us, that there's any like in D&D, there's divination magic to tell where you are and what you're doing. I don't know if there's anything like that Dragon Age, but just a general. Did she do anything nefarious with the hammer, specifically with magic?
Has she bugged us?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, so with a 14, so yeah, you can certainly sense all of the magical properties that I described to you. But other than that, I don't think you can tell if there's anything beyond what she said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, Russo, this is a really sweet hammer. And, I listened to the base description that Ark gave. I mean, it looks really nice, but I'm semi-certain, but still a little unsure, but I don't think she did anything bad to the hammer. I mean, I don't expect she would, but with that grin, it sort of put me off a little bit.
I think you just haven't been around politicians enough, Leon.
Are they all that sort of...
Yes.
Oh dear. Well,
Definitely
I
killed
guess
again.
politics aren't for me then. I try to hand back the hammer.
Well, this is definitely giving me deja vu. That's for sure.
Deja vu, Tyrion? Nathan asks.
Just master and all that. Mine was a little bit of a pump ass, let's say that.
I feel like that's even of the most humblest of defender.
Possibly.
Well, I think in the meantime we'll just take this as a good gesture of faith for helping until we have something else to say. Otherwise, I have
Well, we best.
one last thing to do before we hit the road. It won't take long. It'll only be like 5 minutes. Leon, would you mind helping me clean out my office now that I'm giving my resignation today?
Oh, sure, definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, this isn't so much as something that needs to happen before we leave Nevarra. However, it just occurred to me that Queen Antonia didn't just give us the hammer, she also gave us sovereigns. I was wondering if Leon could also check the sovereigns to see if they were bugged.
Well, I
Sure.
can do that while he's with Rousseau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
go
great,
ahead.
thanks.
Good idea.
Worst comes to worst, we can just make
Well,
some change.
that was a shit roll. Nope, are these gold? I think these are you sure these aren't made out of copper?
Just make sure you spend
You
it
can't.
first.
Darthan can't tell if there's anything bugged about or anything funny about the.
These are very strange looking coins.
They were like steel back in his day or something.
I don't know if you guys are like having a meeting or whatever, but at some point you guys are deciding where you're going. So is it Orlais? That's what I'm hearing.
Orlais?
Yes, I believe
Okay.
so.
Orlais.
All right. So you guys will begin traveling to Orlais, and this is open RP for the next at least hour for anyone who wants to. And if not, I'm just going to move on. So whoever wants to roleplay with whoever, go do it now, or whoever hold your peace. Yes.
I'll do it later in a little bit, but at some point, like maybe midway through the trip, Darthan would like to talk to Darren.
Yeah.
At
Okay.
some point later
At some
on.
point. Go ahead, Skull. What do you want to do?
Well, I'm going. So Tyrion is going to kind of go to Anarkhan Pasha's cabin or caravan because he hasn't
Narakan Pasha's. Oh, yeah.
hasn't spoken to both of them that much in a while. So unless it's a problem. So yeah.
I guess when we'll say that this is like some downtime when the wagons stop for like like maybe they stopped near the waking sea to like get water or something. Bathroom break, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so you can knock on Narika's wagon, and Narika will open, and she'll give you a warm smile and say, "Tyrion,
America, good to see you.
nice of you to visit."
Well, it's been a while, so I've just been busy. It's been a busy couple of days.
Yes, from what I heard, you came back with a girl, she says with a smile.
Yeah, it's a complicated story, but yes, a new member of the circus. Hopefully, Naldo accepts her in.
Well, I've spotted her, I think, during our travels. Very pretty. Good for you, Tyrion.
I kind of smile a little bit, but it's a small smile. He's happy but unhappy at the same time. Yeah, well, I just thought maybe Ignaldo might benefit from additional person to help out. So, hopefully.
Well, I'm sure she's going to fit in quite well.
Mhm.
What can I do for you?
Well, well, one thing I would like to do at least is come here for a little bit of a drink if you have one, since I know you have a store. Do you have anything? Yeah, I feel like I just want one. Is Passion also by any chance?
She is. We were just having a little bit of a chat. Pasha, dear, we have a visitor.
Who is it? And Pasha will wander over behind Narika. Oh, Tyrion!
Passion, good to see you as usual.
Indeed. And she'll, like, assuming Tyrion is like coming, Pasha will like step to the side to be like,
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to kind of take a seat like nearby, maybe like either next to or in front of Pasha or whatever. Just take a seat wherever is a chair. Sorry, I generally tend to speak with Narcon, since I've been joined, since I've been with the caravan circus.
would you prefer me to leave or?
No,
am
you
I-
can stay here. I was also trying to find you anyway, so tit for tat, you can say.
Pasha will sit. I imagine like Pasha has some tea or something, so she, would you like me to pour you one, Tyrion?
I don't mind, sure. Tea is fine by me. I haven't had much of it actually. I generally have water because the place I've been, well, it's quite hot, so to speak.
Oh, tea is delightful. You'll love it. And she'll pour him a
Thank
cup.
you.
I don't know why. I imagine it's oolong or ginseng,
Sure.
thin,
Yeah.
something like that. And she'll,
Something.
you know,
Yes, something Eastern.
yeah.
Since we're on the theme. Yes, go ahead. So, Narika asks,
Mm-hmm. Yes?
what's on your mind, Tyrion?
Quite a lot of things. Feels like the things I've known for quite a while are coming to question.
Oh?
Yeah, it's just been a couple of rough days, Hands now have been burnt. Thought I have had an interest with someone. Appears it did not work out well. It's been.
Oh, things didn't work out between you and Leon, Narika says.
There's a definite sadness to Tyrion. He tries to kind of hide it, but he's a terrible. He doesn't have a good poker face. He's sad. Just nothing like that. Just some misunderstandings. That's all. It's just been a rough couple of days. My apologies.
Out of character, I just have this vision of Tyrion, like right after he discovers that Leon's a blood mage. He's like, Leon, I don't even know you anymore. You broke my heart.
You broke my heart.
I was deceived.
Yeah,
I
teen
thought I
soap
knew
opera.
you.
Leon soap opera here.
First Darren, first Diana, now Leon. Like, I just can't win.
I lied
it's
to
almost
you,
like
Darren.
Kieran has.
I lied to you, Tyrion. My name is Leon. It's Leon.
Wow. A deep dark secret.
That's how the Orlesians just pronounce it, at least.
Yeah.
Leon.
Oh.
This Tyrion just is like sipping the tea, and he sips it slowly. This is quite delicious, actually.
It's soothing. It'll help. There are always plenty of fish in the sea, Tyrion.
His head tilts when you say fish in the sea. I don't get quite the metaphor.
There is always someone new around the corner. You'll find someone. Don't worry.
No, I should just go back to my job. This has always been. How have you been, Pasha? Also, by any chance, we haven't spoken much.
We haven't. And I think she takes a very long, slow sip of her tea. And I think I am fine. I am fine.
Are you sure?
If I'm being honest, I'm rather nervous about heading to Orlais, but it must be done.
Is there a personal reason why you're going to Orlais?
She kind of leans back in her seat, another long, slow sip of the tea. And tell me, Tyrion, you're a Vint. Only a Vint would argue so much over who owns Saharon. Trust me.
A Vint. Oh, to Vinter is what you're meaning. Well,
yes.
It's just I honestly don't care what happens up in Saharon. To be quite honest, I kind of look at America a bit and look back at a commoner of sorts, you can say, as you know.
Fair. What do you know of my people?
The Kyun? Other than a little bit of their anatomy, I mean, it's just a society of their own of sorts. They have their own laws, their own island to be on. The Winter hates them quite a bit.
True. Very true.
Yeah, well. And it is not just of one race. Like, you have others, elves, humans, maybe a dwarf, maybe probably not.
Yes, the Kyun is not a race; it is a religion. But where my role under the Kyun is Tamazran. I guess you could say that is my name, really. Although technically speaking.
So your name is also your job?
Yeah, we don't have names under the Kyun. There is simply no such thing. It would be like if your name were Doctor.
How do you tell each other apart then? How do you tell if there were multiple Tamazrans? How do you tell them apart?
Nicknames.
So then if you nickname each other anyway, isn't that basically your name then?
You could argue that. I think it is a metaphorical thing. Your name is your job, so that it is literally our role is everything we are. It is all that we encompass.
Did you choose to become a Tamazran?
Yes and no. I wanted children. Ever since I was little, I loved children. I wanted them more than anything I could. There are no words to describe that desire. And in Saharan, there is no such thing as a family unit. There are no mothers, there are no fathers. There are Tamazrans who take care of the children. So it was my desire to be a Tamazran, but I did not have a say in that. I was good at looking after children, hence you will become a Tamazran. It was very good fortune that I also desired that, but I did not choose that.
So what you're saying is every Kuhn, while they're in something specific, they do not get to make the choice to choose it. Isn't that just slavery then at a basic fundamental level? Just maybe.
Narika starts sipping her tea more when Tyrion drops that.
Start the battle music, Hark. Start the battle.
Pasha just throws her tea at him and draws her sword. No question.
Oh shit!
If you would call bettering society slavery, then I guess so. As I said, people don't get given jobs that they are bad at. Quite the opposite. Tamazran such as myself, we monitor children from when they are very little to see what they are good at. We pick out their jobs, especially because you will be good at this and you will be good at this. A child who is weak and weedy, who desires to become a warrior but has absolutely no martial capability, putting them in the army simply because they want to be in the army would be a death sentence. Better that they become a baker or a craftsman where they can find happiness in mastering a skill that is actually capable for them to master.
But what if they train hard in that skill they want to become? What if they want to learn all that? From what I want to understand, you're putting them in the position where it's best for their body rather than what they want to do in their interest.
In the acceptance of duty, you can find happiness, and maybe not in the immediate. I have had many children who wish to do one thing, but they get assigned to a different job, and in the immediate, they can be angry because this was not what they desired. But if they can find acceptance in their role, then you can find happiness. Denial of oneself is the ultimate cause of misery.
Have you ever had any runaways?
Another long sip of tea. Runaways? No. Stolen? Yes.
I see.
That is why I go to Orlais. I believe he is there.
A child? Or one of your former childs?
He would be an adult by now. He was part of my very first pod of children. He was 9. He was... What is wrong with pod?
It just sounds wrong. I don't know. Apologies. It's just...
Group of children, that might be more... that might be my lack of knowledge of pod. What do you call you have a murder of crows. What do you call a
group of children?
A group, then.
There we go.
He was part of my first group. He was 9.